My bowels had a sweet release. I could feel it everywhere. I had crapped my pants.
Prison. She needs prison.
I kind of have OCD.
You mean OBCD?
Was that your bones?
Yes.
I've been grown. I pay my bills. My bills are paid.
Well, girls, the day has come. Beck has uploaded a 45-minute video answering all of Haydur Nation's questions, mainly about their time spent with Amber, and there's some tea, y'all, and I've got some of the highlights. As always, to watch the full, unedited version of these clips, head on over to Beck's channel, linked in my description.
Has Amber tried to contact you after the breakup when everything was over?
Yeah, she got a hold of me at one point to ask about a personal thing in my life happening. It was the anniversary of the death of my nephew, and I think she asked how I was doing, and I didn't answer to that. And then a little while after that, she asked if Kate Winslet had come out with anything new, and I didn't answer that either. And I want to say that was around maybe the summer of 2022.
I'm assuming they know about AMBERLYNNREID and now dating a suspected feeder. Oh, I put this up 5 days ago. Oh, they're broken up now. That was 8 days ago. I'm wondering, what was their reaction to this when they found out?
Am I shocked that Amber would want to date a feeder? No, I'm not. And her being with someone who is okay with the weight she's at, or really okay with her gaining more weight, would be the easiest type of relationship for her to be in. I don't really have anything to say about Emily. I don't know her, but I will say that I don't see how you can care for a person while participating in feederism with no concern for their health.
What was your reaction to Amberline about wifey Jade being 2 different people? Mental. How did you feel after she chewed you out, making some stupid joke like you always do? I think back on that live stream where she read that text to you out loud and then went whoopsies so often.
I didn't know how anybody would not see through that because it was so obvious that it was the same person. As for the aftermath, she was absolutely mad at me. She was seeing red. She completely blamed me for her being doxxed, said the whole thing was my fault, even though she had done the whole pointing her name out in the live stream and then naming the live stream after her thing.
Did Big Al ever threaten to off herself if Beck wanted to break up with her?
She didn't threaten to do that with me, but she did guilt me in other ways, like saying who would help her and who would take care of her, who would be there with her, she would be lonely, that kind of stuff.
Why does AMBERLYNNREID insist on being chauffeured? Why won't she learn to drive or take an Uber?
She's terrified to drive, and I also think she knows that she couldn't fit behind a steering wheel or probably wear a seatbelt, and that's also probably why she can't take an Uber, is because she would be required to wear a seatbelt.
Did Amberlynn claim BPD when you were together, or did she still have ASMR?
No, she didn't claim to have BPD when we were together, but a friend of ours did mention it to me, saying that they thought that she had BPD or something similar.
Did AMBERLYNNREID ever confess to you about her major wrongdoings/lies, e.g. the Casey essay, Gracie, grooming Libby, etc.? I don't know how much you're aware of now.
I only found out recently that Casey was a minor, and I didn't know anything really about Libby. I'd never met her or anything, but all I did know about it was that she was Destiny's friend, and she was a teenager, and they had an adult friend who had a crush on her, and I told Amber that I thought that was weird, and Amber was like, yeah, but he was a good guy, which I don't understand how he could be a good guy and be flirting with a minor. The only other red flag I've really seen from Amber was she did have a crush on Billie Eilish when Billie was just starting out. So I think she was a teenager around then, which I told her was weird, and so did Eric and Ricky, but she said that she was almost an adult and that she acted older and looked older, so it was okay.
Beck, did you ever have a plan to leave Amber before you actually left? What led to making the plan if you did? But you did try and break up with her before, didn't you?
No, I never had a plan to leave. There were many times that I had tried to break up with her, but she would somehow find a way to stop it from happening by like saying that she would fix things and things would get better and we would get better. There was this one time that we had an argument on the way home, and we stopped in the driveway and argued for a few hours in the car, and she just would not accept me trying to break up with her and would not let us go back in the house until I agreed to give her another chance to fix things and make things better.
Did Amber really have cancer? I felt great when she blamed you for the cancer.
I laughed so hard. I mean, when I got blamed for the cancer, I was like, dude, me, Eric, Ricky, my mom, my sisters, every single person in your life, even your own friends, told you, hey, you should go to the OBGYN. And she wouldn't. She would not go. So how was that my fault? But yeah, she did have cancer and she had to have surgery for it.
Were you aware of Amber lying to the audience about her hygiene, specifically in 2019? If so, did you have any thoughts on why she felt compelled to lie?
I was aware that she was lying to her audience about showering, but I think it was because she was embarrassed and was just trying to keep up an image. But I did not ever look at her Ask FM, so I was not aware that she was posting that she had just gotten out of the shower and so on.
Do you feel like you were walking on eggshells with the big one? Did she physically hurt you during her binges? Did she fudge her weigh-in numbers? Did you ever want to say to Amber, shut up, for God's sake, shut up?
I was walking on eggshells with Amberlynn. She was really easy to upset, and it wasn't physical, it was very verbally attacking. Did she fudge her weigh-in numbers? Yeah, she would sometimes. There were just some days that she didn't feel like weighing herself, so she would just make up a number.
I gotta know if them, Eric and Ricky, ever S-talked Amber when she wasn't around.
I didn't know anybody who didn't, and I didn't know anybody who she didn't talk about behind their back either.
Has Amber really ever attended some form of therapy? And do you know if she had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder while you were together?
She did go to therapy for a very, very short time when we were together, maybe a few sessions. But no, she was not diagnosed with BPD while we were together.
How did Twinkie act around Amber? Was Twink scared of Amber? We know, of course, that Beck was the one walking, feeding, caring for the animals on camera in live stream era. It seemed like Twinkie hated Amber but loved Beck.
I don't think that she was afraid of Amber, but I definitely do think that there were times that she preferred me. When the binge monster would come out or when she would be yelling, the animals didn't like that, so they would leave. I would say that Amber's worst trait was how mean she was to me and how she would pick on me, and I didn't see that until we had broken up and I was watching old videos back.
Did you truly not care about her size when you first started dating? And did you ever get frustrated talking to her because of her lack of education and vocabulary?
I was shocked and alarmed whenever I first met her and realized her size, but I wasn't trying to be judgmental about it. It wasn't that I would get frustrated, it was more amusing than anything. And the only thing that was really frustrating would be when she would think that something was right when it obviously wasn't. So either I would have to Google it or she would have to.
Were you ever embarrassed walking around while she was on a scooter and asking you to take her pic for a thumbnail?
Yes, I was extremely embarrassed when she would have me take pictures of her on the scooter for thumbnails. The whole hanging out with her in the scooter walking around Walmart for hours was embarrassing enough. But it wasn't the scooter that was embarrassing because I walked around Walmart with other people who were riding scooters. And what was embarrassing about it was that the cart would be full of stuff, but then she would have me go get a new scooter when the scooter she was on would die. But I would have to ride it back to her and then switch all of her items over from the dead cart to the one that worked, and she would just ride off and keep shopping and leave the dead scooter where it was sitting. I have said this before, but I do think had she been more mobile, she probably would have been physical with me.
I'm so curious about how much Beck and Amber were recognized in public. Did people approach either Beck or Amber often?
Yeah, there were plenty of times that we got recognized out in public. There were plenty of times that people would come up to say, "Are you Amberlynn? It's nice to meet you," but there was nobody flirting with her or anything like that.
Did she ever clean the litter boxes?
And no, she never cleaned the litter boxes. I always did that. Whenever we first got together and I would visit, there was this room upstairs where the litter boxes would be, but it also had an extra bed in it. And the litter box was just so... It needed cleaned so bad that there was feces on the bed and on the floor.
What happened after the camera was turned off? After the... Who's the one who's been wiping your ass live stream? Oh yeah, God, I don't think I've thought about that, man.
She was really mad about it. She told me that her audience is never going to let her live it down. And I think she told me to lie and say that I was just joking about it, but I'm not entirely sure.
Did Amber ever express to Beck any... I don't know the right words. Did she have any kind of self-awareness during her bedbound livestream era about how physically disabled she is, and did she ever have any care for how Beck was gonna be able to cope for that?
She did talk about it, so it did seem that she was self-aware, but she didn't want to put in the effort to make a difference and change the situation. And no, I don't think that she cared or thought about how it would affect me.
Did they ever worry about the possibility that Amber's health would decline even further and that she'd get even bigger?
Yeah, I did worry about her getting bigger and how it would affect things, but I felt very powerless in this situation.
Does Amber really keep her old phones? I don't think I did ask this. Or does she have a second phone, one for YouTube and one for burner accounts?
Yeah, she had 2 phones. She had gotten a new phone, and then she had her old phone. And she would use her old phone for vlogs and live streams and stuff like that. And then she would use her new phone for other things, but I'm not sure exactly what she would use it for.
She was Damon White, pretending to be Damon White to see what people said about her. And people have always thought she's got suck accounts. And
I'm sure she did, but Damon White is the only one that I know for sure of. And yeah, she was all over the reaction channels and the Facebook and Reddit and Kiwi Farms. She'd check that stuff out all the time.
Once again, for the full, unedited version of these clips, please head on over to Beck's channel, linked in the description.